So I run into more than my share of stalkers, drama queens, narcissists, especially the covert narcissist, the one that hides their narcissism from you, but eventually you'll know who they are because they will reveal themselves to you. You'll notice that they all have the same symptoms. It's as if they all came from the same playbook. They're essentially emotional toddlers in an adult body. So rule number one is you got to take their control from them. Next is you got to be firm. You don't negotiate with them. You don't negotiate with terrorists either. But she kept saying, I got to speak to him. I got to speak to him. Well, first I'm going to speak to him. No, I have a right to be here. I keep saying, no, you got to go. Get your ass out of here. You're not welcome here. You have no right to be here. It's private property. Well, after I talk to him, then we can talk. I go, no, you got to go. And then I said, okay, well, now I'm going to call the police and have them take you out of here. So I didn't, like I said, I didn't touch her, and I allowed the cops to handle it. If you're dealing with security guards, they're going to do the same thing. They don't want the liability. Next is you don't show any reaction. And when I say don't show reaction, I'm talking about the person they're after. They really hate dealing with lawyers because they don't get fuel and emotional, that narcissistic supply dealing with lawyers usually. In fact, they hate dealing with us because they're after the other person, and we're an intermediary that's constantly giving them bad news. If you have to deal with them, these demons are looking for an emotional response from you, and they are experts at detecting even the slightest change in your voice, your mannerism, how you feel, whatever energy you've got. They just soak it all in. They regulate themselves off of it, and that's why they create so much drama. They tell you X, tomorrow they tell you Y, then they deny telling you X and Y. So if you have to deal with them, first of all, cut it to the bare minimum, but don't show any reaction and do not be emotional. The more monotone you get, the less fuel they can extract from you. And then they got to find someone else to get that fuel from. And then they'll leave you alone usually, or at least mostly leave you alone. Like I said, no face-to-face encounters. Now, there could be situations where you have to pick up your kids and you got to deal with one of these train wrecks. And they'll say you were late. They'll say this, they'll say all that. And it's all about another fight, another thing. Be calm. Have your paperwork ready, such as visitation orders and stuff. Plan ahead. And if necessary, have somebody else pick up the kids so that they don't even have any action with you. Use impersonal language. They really hate that. They hate being thought of as being, unimportant, because in their mind, they're very important. And remember, they're always the victim. When the threats escalate against you, and that will happen, when you do not give in, when you go, some people call it gray rock, some people call it no contact, whatever it is, whatever name you want to call it, when you put them on ice, everything has to be unemotional. Because if it doesn't have a reaction from you, then it must not be that important to you. And if it's not that important to you, then it's not important to them. Like I said, they're all part and parcel of the same playbook. Blackmail, yeah, that's going to happen. And a lot of these bozos don't even realize when they're committing extortion and when they're committing blackmail. If they show up at your work, your home, your job unannounced, and there they are, it takes at least 2 instances in California before you can, where you can bring a civil harassment order. And 2 is the bare minimum. You really need to let them go further than something that's questionable and arguable, where there's actual threats, who carries out emotional distress. Like the whole purpose of them showing up that day was to inflict emotional distress on you, Never have what you call a sit down with them, where they knock on your door and they act conciliatory, and now they want to have a sit down with you because they want to work it out. That's just another moment in time where they want to extract fuel from you, emotional, narcissistic supply. They have no intention of resolving anything, and you'll go around and around and around in circles, and before you know it, it's 1 in the morning and they're still in your house and you haven't gotten anywhere with them. That wasn't the point. The point was to be with you and to just suck energy out of you. Block their ability to contact your family members, because they'll always threaten to do that. And the interesting thing about all of these people is how afraid they are of being exposed and proven that they're frauds, because they work very hard to create this magnanimous self-image. You know, they live off their self-image because they hate who they are. And if you expose them, they go into a meltdown of sorts. But the way to first trigger it, though, is to go completely no contact or minimal contact with them. Let me know how you feel about the video. It's hopefully a public service announcement that benefits everyone. Talk to you later.